they were already beautiful. Taylor Swift, Selena Gomez, Emma Stone, women the world admired, not just for their talent, but for their natural, effortless beauty. So why did they feel the need to change? There's a disturbing pattern happening in Hollywood right now. Stars who were once celebrated for being naturally gorgeous are quietly erasing what made them special. One procedure at a time, one injection at a time. It's no longer about aging gracefully or fighting wrinkles. It's happening to women in their 20s and 30s, women who already look perfect. And the most unsettling part, once they start, they can't seem to stop. Today, we're looking at 10 female Hollywood stars who were absolutely stunning before they went under the knife and needle. Some transformations are subtle, others are shocking. Number 1. Taylor Swift. For nearly 2 decades, Taylor Swift has been America's sweetheart. That girl next door charm, those crystal blue eyes, that megawatt smile. She didn't need to be a supermodel because she was relatable, real, naturally beautiful. And that's exactly what made her special. But on October 3rd, 2025, something felt wrong. Taylor appeared on The Graham Norton Show, glowing as she showed off her engagement ring to Travis Kelce. She was talking, laughing, being her usual charming self. But as the cameras lingered on her face, millions of viewers noticed the same thing. That wasn't the Taylor we knew. Her face looked heavier, fuller, especially when she smiled or made expressions. Her cheeks seemed unnaturally puffy. Her eyebrows were arched in a strange way, and her smile looked forced, like she was pushing it through tension. It's the telltale sign of over-injected filler and Botox. When plastic surgeons compared her Graham Norton appearances side by side, the evidence became clear. The tail of the brow, especially on the right side, is elevated, one expert explained. If she was getting Botox in the forehead muscle, the lateral edge didn't get enough units. You can still see wrinkles on her right side. Reddit threads flooded with thousands of comments.
The tail of the brow, especially on the right side, the eyebrow that we can see, is a bit elevated. I think what happened was if she was getting Botox into most of the frontalis muscle of the forehead, the lateral edge of it may not have gotten enough units of Botox, so you can still see a little bit of a wrinkle on her right side, and you can see that it's elevated higher.
Some people defended her, blaming bad lighting or a long day, but most were more honest. Here's what makes this so unsettling. Taylor Swift is only 35 years old. At that age, you'd expect maybe some fine lines, a slightly softer jawline, the natural, subtle evolution of a face that's lived. But not this. Not the sudden puffiness, the strained expressions, the loss of that sparkle that made her Taylor, and the saddest part, she was already perfect. Number 2. Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez grew up in front of our eyes. From Disney Channel star to global pop sensation, she's been in the spotlight for most of her life. And throughout it all, she maintained a youthful, sweet, naturally beautiful look that millions of young women admired. She didn't need to change a thing. But here's where Selena's story gets complicated. She has lupus, an autoimmune disease that causes inflammation, swelling, and requires heavy medication. She's been incredibly open about her health struggles, and because of that, any conversation about her appearance becomes sensitive. People are quick to defend her, saying the changes are all medical. But is that really the whole story? In recent years, Selena's face has changed in ways that even her most loyal fans struggle to explain through health alone. On October 23rd, 2025, she released the In the Dark music video, and social media erupted. Her face looked completely transformed, not just fuller from medication, but structurally different. Plastic surgeons immediately weighed in.
I don't know what to make of this. Dr. David Shamulian, double board certified facial plastic surgeon here. There is a big change in her face. Looks like she had some buccal fat done, some jowling here for some reason. She probably has had an upper eyelid blepharoplasty. As you can see, she's lost a lot of the fullness in the upper eyelid. This looks like an A-frame deformity where too much fat was removed, and as a result, her eyes look hollow. Conservative is always better.
The consensus? Likely buccal fat removal, upper eyelid blepharoplasty, and possibly some jowling work. Beyond the face shape changes, experts have pointed to veneers, Botox in multiple areas, and lip filler. When you add it all up, you're looking at someone who's had extensive work done. Her fans defend her fiercely. Her critics point to obvious enhancements, and the truth probably lies somewhere in between. But one thing is certain, whether by choice or circumstance, Selena Selena Gomez doesn't look like herself anymore. And for someone who built a career on being relatable and real, that's a tragedy. Number 3. Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus has lived her entire life under a microscope. We watched her grow up on the Disney Channel, saw her rebel in her 20s, and followed every phase of her evolution. And because we've seen so much of her, her face is one of the most documented in modern pop culture, which makes hiding cosmetic work nearly impossible. If you look at photos of Miley from her Hannah Montana days and compare them to recent pictures, you might not believe it's the same person. Her nose was broader. Her eyes were naturally hooded, giving her that relaxed, casual look. Her face had a softness that made her approachable. All of that is gone now. Over the years, the work has been extensive. Her eyes are now wide open, the result of upper blepharoplasty to remove the hooded skin. Her nose is dramatically slimmer, pointing to a rhinoplasty, and her face has lost all its natural volume, especially in the cheeks, suggesting buccal fat removal. But the change that got the most attention? Her teeth. Miley got veneers that were far too big for her mouth. In countless photos, you can actually see her mouth sitting slightly open because the veneers don't fit properly. It became such an obvious issue that even casual observers started pointing it out. The good news? Veneers can be fixed. And in recent interviews, it looks like she's had them resized to something more natural. Her smile looks much better now, but the veneers were fixable. The upper blepharoplasty, the buccal fat removal, the nose job, those are permanent. Miley Cyrus at 33 has already made irreversible changes to her face. And while her fan base has largely stuck by her, you have to wonder, did she really need any of it? Number 4. Kris Jenner. Kris Jenner is no stranger to transformation. She's the matriarch of a family that literally built a billion-dollar empire around beauty, image, and cosmetic enhancement. So when Kris shows up with a new face, nobody's really surprised. But that doesn't make it any less shocking. In May 2025, Kris posted a series of photos to Instagram that immediately went viral. Her face looked dramatically different, tighter, smoother, more lifted than ever before. The skin around her jaw and neck was pulled so tight it looked almost sculpted. Within hours, social media exploded with comments. Plastic surgeons quickly confirmed what everyone suspected.
There is no non-surgical technology or technique or procedure that can create change like this. The only true way to improve the shape of the face and return it back to its more youthful look is through surgical procedures. Kris Jenner's recent transformation represents somebody who's had a facelift.
Kris had undergone a deep plane facelift, one of the most invasive facial rejuvenation procedures available. The surgery involves incisions along the hairline and around the ears, allowing surgeons to access and reposition the deeper structures of the face, muscle, fat, and connective tissue beneath the skin. It's designed to restore youthful definition along the jawline and neck, but it carries serious risks: scarring, swelling, nerve damage, and a recovery period of weeks or months. According to reports, this transformation cost Kris $150,000. Unlike most celebrities who hide their cosmetic work, Kris has been surprisingly open about hers. She even publicly thanked her surgeon on social media. And here's the thing, this wasn't even her first facelift. Back in 2011, she admitted to having one, but Kris doesn't seem to care. And at 69 years old, she's proof that in Hollywood, the work never stops.
These days, everyone's talking about Kris Jenner's new look, but back in 2011, she admitted to having her first facelift. Before that surgery, she had a softer jawline and mild neck laxity, and after, you can see that sharp jaw to neck transition.
Number 5. Emma Stone. Emma Stone has one of the most distinctive faces in Hollywood. That button nose, the sharp jawline, and most memorably, those hooded eyes that gave her a sleepy, mysterious charm. It was part of what made her special, different, uniquely Emma. But earlier this year at the Edinburgh Film Festival premiere, something looked different. At 36, Emma's face appeared more defined and lifted. Her brows sat higher, especially at the outer corners. Her eyelids were suddenly more visible, and her eyes had taken on a completely different shape. That signature hooded look that defined her for decades? Gone. The culprit was almost certainly an upper blepharoplasty, an eyelid lift where surgeons remove excess skin to make the eyes appear more open and youthful. It's a common procedure. Hooded eyes can give a sleepy appearance because the extra fold of skin partially covers the eyelid, creating natural heaviness to the gaze. But here's the issue. The eye area is one of the most expressive parts of the face.
That to me is the appearance of the upper eyelid area. The feature that she may have wanted to address is that hooding that we mentioned that she had from a young age. A common procedure to address this is called an upper blepharoplasty or an eyelid lift, where a surgeon removes a conservative amount of skin and leaving enough behind so you have no problems blinking, and that can improve the hooding and kind of improve the ability to wear eyeliner or eye makeup if that's something that someone chooses.
Even small changes can completely alter how someone looks, and that's exactly what happened with Emma. Those hooded eyes weren't a flaw, they were part of her charm, her uniqueness. They gave her face character. The majority of online discussion about Emma's transformation began after this eye procedure, but the truth is, she'd been subtly tweaking her appearance for years. By 2024, her upper lip had noticeably more volume, creating a closer 1-to-1 ratio with her lower lip.
In 2024, when I compare back to 2009, what I'm seeing is that the upper lip now has more general volume. And now we're getting closer to a 1-to-1 upper to lower lip ratio. And as we discussed earlier, I am seeing some filler migration that's going beyond the upper vermilion border. In 2013, at the age of 25, I'm seeing that there are some signs of a potential rhinoplasty procedure. You can see that there's increased nostril shape.
There were signs of filler migration beyond the natural lip border, and back in 2013, at just 25 years old, there were already signs of a potential rhinoplasty, increased nostril show, a more refined tip, a slight upward rotation. Emma Stone is a perfect example of how cosmetic work tends to compound. You start with one small procedure, then another, then another. Before long, you've erased what made you special in the first place. Despite all the changes, Emma still looks relatively natural compared to others on this list. But that careful balance is what makes her case so interesting. She walked the line between enhancement and transformation, and with that eye surgery, she finally crossed it. Number 6. Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt has been a fixture in Hollywood for nearly 2 decades. She's worked consistently at the highest level, moving easily between blockbusters and prestige films. For most of that time, her appearance was never really the focus. She was known for her talent, her range, her professionalism, not for being a Hollywood beauty icon. And honestly, that was refreshing. If there was one noticeable change over the years, it was her teeth. Somewhere in the mid-2000s, Emily got veneers. They brightened her smile, but stripped away some of its natural character. Beyond that, any cosmetic work felt fairly subtle and easy to overlook. But by the time Emily appeared at the 2023 Oppenheimer premiere, something had clearly changed. Her mid-face and cheekbone structure looked dramatically fuller and wider. It was almost certainly dermal filler, and there was a lot of it. When experts compared photos from just 3 years earlier, the change was obvious. Her midsection had been proportionate and balanced.
This is Emily at the Oppenheimer premiere, and I can immediately see a change in her mid-face and cheekbone structure. It's much fuller and wider, likely related to dermal filler treatment. When looking at her face from 3 years ago, you can see that the midsection looks more proportionate and in balance with the rest of her face. Then contrasting to how she looks here, you can see the change in this part of her face. What can happen if filler is placed too far back over the cheekbone? It can spread into the fat pad located over the temporal bone, leading to widening of the face. In contrast to this, when too much filler is placed in this part of the face, it can affect smiling and make someone look overfilled, as it does in Emily's case here.
Now it looked overdone. The result? Emily's face looked wider, and when she smiled, her cheeks bunched unnaturally, the classic sign of overfilling. By August 2025, when Emily appeared on the cover of Vogue Hong Kong, the changes had become impossible to ignore. Across Reddit and social media, people were saying the same thing. She looks barely recognizable. Then, in September 2025 at the Venice Film Festival, speculation reached a fever pitch. Photos circulated where it was genuinely hard to tell it was her. Experts began pointing to signs of a surgical face and neck lift. The jawline to neck transition was much sharper and more defined. Near the earlobe, there appeared to be evidence of surgical scarring. The ear itself looked elongated, and the earlobe had changed shape and position, all telltale signs of facelift surgery. At just 42 years old, Emily Blunt appears to have had a facelift. That would be considered early for such an invasive procedure. But in Hollywood, once something becomes normalized, the age people start doing it drops fast. Emily Blunt spent years being taken seriously as an actress, not as a face. And now her face is all people can talk about. Number 7. Anya Taylor-Joy. Anya Taylor-Joy. Shot to fame during the pandemic with The Queen's Gambit. At a time when everyone was binge-watching TV, she became the face of Netflix's biggest show, and her look was part of the appeal. The wide-set eyes, the full cheeks, the unique facial structure. She didn't fit the typical Hollywood mold, and that's what made her captivating. But over the past couple of years, something shifted. Her face looks significantly slimmer and more sculpted, particularly through the mid-face and cheeks. It's given her a much sharper, more angular appearance.
In 2023, at the age of 27, I'm seeing some signs of a potential buccal fat removal. To me, the area where the buccal fat normally lives looks more hollowed on both sides. Because buccal fat surgery was so popular last year, it's possible that she may have undergone that procedure to give that type of more model-esque appearance where you have the more pronounced cheekbone and that hollowing in the buccal fat region.
Some might say more model-esque. Others might say she's lost what made her special. In 2023, at just 27 years old, experts started seeing signs of buccal fat removal. The area where buccal fat naturally sits looked noticeably hollowed on both sides. Buccal fat surgery was incredibly popular that year, and multiple celebrities debuted the same look around the same time. It wasn't weight loss, it was surgery. Here's the problem with buccal fat removal. The fat doesn't grow back, which means that hollowed look often becomes more pronounced over time. And since we naturally lose facial fat as we age anyway, the procedure can actually accelerate aging rather than prevent it. Buccal fat removal isn't the only change people have noticed. In 2024, at age 28, Anya also appears to have gotten veneers, at least for the central and lateral incisors. Anya Taylor-Joy's transformation shows how early the pressure kicks in now.
2024, at the age of 28, I do see some signs of veneers placed here. So sometime within the last probably 2 years, I think she had some veneers, at least for the central and lateral incisors.
She's only in her late 20s, and she's already made permanent changes to her face. She was hired because she looked different, unique, striking, and now she's surgically altering herself to look more like everyone else. It's the opposite of what made her special. Number 8. Dakota Johnson. For a long time, Dakota Johnson wasn't really talked about as a major Hollywood beauty. She had more of a relatable girl-next-door look. She was pretty, sure, but not in that untouchable movie star way. But something changed in the last few years. If you spend time on social media now, you'll see countless videos praising how good Dakota looks, some pulling in millions of views. So what happened? Did she just age into her looks? Or is there more to the story? When you look back at photos from the 2010s, a few things jump out immediately. Her hair changed. She started wearing bangs that balanced her larger forehead, and the gap between her front teeth disappeared. Dakota claimed the gap closed naturally after removing a permanent retainer. Maybe, but there's definitely more to this transformation.
I had a permanent retainer since I was like 13, and it was just glued to the back of my teeth. And I was having a lot of neck problems recently, so my orthodontist, she decided that it would be a good idea to take it off and see if my jaw sort of expanded, and it helped me, and my gap closed by itself.
Experts have pointed to several procedures. Her jaw looks more defined, her chin more projected, her nose tip appears more lifted, possibly a rhinoplasty or liquid nose job with filler. Her neck has changed dramatically too. It could be submental liposuction, laser lipolysis, or fat melting injections. A neck lift is possible, but less common at her age.
Johnson's side profile doesn't look like it did a few years ago, and no, this isn't just 50 shades of makeup. Let's break it down. Her jaw looks more defined and chin more projected, with no saggy skin underneath. The nose tip seems more lifted. That could be a surgical nose job or a non-surgical liquid rhinoplasty with filler, or even a little bit of Botox to lift the tip.
Another procedure that people speculate about is lower blepharoplasty, a surgery targeting the under eye area by removing or repositioning fat pockets. In the past, Dakota was often photographed with puffy under eyes. Now they appear flat, smooth, and refined. Here's what's fascinating about Dakota. She's now widely seen as more attractive in her mid-30s than she ever was in her 20s. That goes against the usual narrative about women aging in Hollywood, but it also raises a question. Is this what $100,000 worth of work looks like? Number 9. Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore has always been one of Hollywood's more wholesome figures. From her pop career to A Walk to Remember to This Is Us, she built a reputation on authenticity. She seemed genuine, grounded, refreshingly natural, and she always had a youthful, bright appearance, even into her 40s. But in October 2025, something changed. At the Step Up Inspiration Awards in Los Angeles, Mandy was photographed looking noticeably different. Her face showed far more fine lines and wrinkles than it had just months earlier, and there was something else people couldn't quite put their finger on.
Mandy Moore has always had that beautiful girl next door look with a slightly fuller face, beautiful full cheeks, and always had a little bit of a more hooded eyelid, which all contribute to her looking a little bit younger than she is. That beautiful facial volume has really allowed her to keep that youthful appearance and keep her looking young. As a hooded eyelid ages, and Mandy Moore is 41 now, you can appreciate that she starts to develop some extra creases or folds in those upper eyelids. You can see in this higher resolution photo of Mandy Moore smiling, those kind of multiple extra folds and creases in those upper eyelids. So here's Mandy Moore now, and I think that there are two main things that are contributing to this dramatically different appearance. One, significant weight loss in a relatively small person to begin with, and two, a surgical upper blepharoplasty.
Mandy has always had a fuller face with beautiful plump cheeks and slightly hooded eyelids. That facial volume allowed her to maintain a youthful appearance well into her 40s. But in recent photos, that volume is gone. Her face looks hollower, more gaunt, and her eyes look dramatically different. Experts believe she underwent upper blepharoplasty, the surgery that removes excess eyelid skin and fat. But in Mandy's case, it appears too much fat was removed from the medial fat pad. The result? A very hollow upper eyelid look that actually makes her appear older, not younger. Adding to the dramatic change is significant weight loss. Mandy was already a relatively small person, but the rapid weight loss has contributed to facial laxity and an aged appearance. In every one of these upper blepharoplasty cases, the result is the same. The person ends up looking like a completely different version of themselves. It's proof of how much the eye area defines our entire look. Even small changes can completely alter someone's identity. Mandy Moore went from youthful and wholesome to looking years older than her actual age, all in the pursuit of looking younger. Number 10. Erin Moriarty. Erin Moriarty became a household name playing Starlight on The Boys, and from the early seasons, a huge part of her appeal was how approachable she looked. Very girl next door, naturally attractive in a way that didn't feel overdone or artificial. Fans connected with her, not just because of the character, but because of how real she seemed. For the first few seasons, that stayed consistent. Season after season, she looked like the same Erin, but somewhere between seasons 3 and 4, things started to change. Looking back at 2021, you can see early signs of Botox in the forehead and crow's feet. Her nose appeared less bulbous with a smoother bridge, signs of rhinoplasty. By 2022, there were clear indications of upper blepharoplasty. Her eyes showed more hollowing, which ironically can make someone look older. In 2024, Erin posted a photo to Instagram, and people were genuinely shocked. That natural beauty was gone, replaced by the stereotypical Instagram model look. Heavy makeup, obvious fillers, a completely different face. The change felt like it came out of nowhere, even though the work had been building for years. The backlash was immediate and vicious. Comment sections exploded with people demanding to know what she'd done to her face. Thousands of cruel comments flooded in. Media personality Megyn Kelly even dedicated an entire podcast segment to criticizing Erin's appearance. The scrutiny became so intense that Erin posted a denial on Instagram before deactivating her account completely. But stepping away from social media didn't stop the commentary. It just moved to other platforms. That level of scrutiny is impossible to imagine, especially when it's focused entirely on your appearance. Erin Moriarty was cast as Starlight specifically because she looked natural and relatable. The character was supposed to represent authenticity in a world of superficiality, and now, Erin has become exactly what her character was fighting against. After seeing all of this, you have to ask, why would they do it? These women were already beautiful, already successful, already admired by millions, so why risk it? The answer is simple and heartbreaking, because in Hollywood, being beautiful isn't enough. You have to be perfectly beautiful, and that standard keeps changing. When your face is your career, when every line and every change is magnified in 4K and dissected by millions online, the pressure to stay flawless can destroy how you see yourself.